It is always good to come back to the great hall of my alma mater, Ghana's premier university. Yes. The University of Ghana, which houses its premier hall, Legon Hall, the Hall of Gentlemen, to participate in the 73rd edition of the annual New Year School and Conference. I thank the university for inviting me again to open this year's edition, which is on the theme COVID-19 and socioeconomic dynamics in Ghana. Chairperson, there are some who claim that the difficulties currently confronting our nation have nothing to do with the effects of the pandemic of COVID-19. They say they are purely Ghanaian phenomena, which are due to economic mismanagement. I'm not disturbed by this contestation because the facts of the situation do not bear it out. But I do recognize the political necessity for them to sustain these falsehoods. As I indicated in my Christmas message to Ghanaians, that the pandemic has derailed the progress being made not only in Ghana, but also in all countries, big or small, in the world, is not to look for an excuse, but to state the obvious, stark reality. It is unfortunate, but it is true. And permit me to state some facts to make my point. COVID-19 has wreaked havoc on the lives and livelihoods of hundreds and hundreds of millions of people across the globe. And it has led to the deaths of some 5,600,000 people worldwide. Mercifully, God being so good, Ghana has recorded one of the lowest death rates in the world, numbering in total 1,379 so far. The pandemic has dampened economic activities through disruptions in global supply chains, which have led to sharp increases in freight rates, with drops in value creation and delays in shipments of major goods and services. It has resulted in widespread supply shortages and attendant dramatic price increases. The slowdown global investments, and it has led to significant job losses. We're witnessing unprecedented volatility of stock markets and tighter global financing conditions. Tourism has declined considerably, resulting from border closures. Remittances have deteriorated, and all nations are seeing higher public debt burdens. The global economy went into recession in 2020 with a GDP growth of negative 3.2%, down from a pre-pandemic projection of positive 3.3%. Sub-Saharan Africa's economy also went into a recession in 2020, with GDP growth of negative 1.8%, down from a pre-pandemic growth projection of positive 3.6%. For the ECOWAS community, growth was negative 0.7%, down from a pre-pandemic projection of positive 3.8%. Ghana, however, escaped recession, managing a positive but greatly reduced rate of growth of 0.4%. Data from the International Labour Organization, ILO, shows that some 114 million jobs were lost the world over. The World Bank adds that the fallout from job losses and an overall downturn in economic activity drove an additional 40 million people into extreme poverty in Africa over the same period. It is important to state that in Ghana, however, there were no layoffs in the public sector and no cuts in salaries of public sector workers. Because government was determined to do whatever it could to protect the living standards of the people. In Ghana, the pandemic has impacted on all sectors of the economy, the agricultural sector being the least hit, thanks to the success of the program for planting for food and jobs. Data shows that the economy grew by 0.4% in 2020, with a nominal GDP of 383 billion cedis, compared to the pre-pandemic growth projection of 6.8%, with a nominal GDP of 398 billion cedis, translating into total output lost of some 14.6 billion cedis. In 2020, the industry sector contracted by 3.6%. The hotels and restaurant sector contracted by 34.8%. Trade, repair of vehicles, household goods contracted by 1.1%. Mining and quarrying contracted by 11%. Manufacturing slowed to a growth of 1.4%, down from 6.3% in 2019. Whilst professional, administrative, and support service activities contracted by 5.9%, down from an expansion of 5.1% in 2019. The result of all these contractions was evident in the fiscal data for 2020. Revenues were revised downwards by 13.4 billion cedis to reflect the impact of the pandemic as economic activities slowed. Expenditures were, however, revised upwards by some 11.7 billion cedis to accommodate the COVID-19 interventions that had to be implemented to contain the pandemic, provide relief to vulnerable segments of the population, and stimulate the economy. The combined fiscal impact was 25 billion cedis, meaning that the fiscal deficit had to be revised from 4.7% of GDP to 11.44%. From virtually all the macroeconomic indicators that we recorded in the year 2020, it is obvious that COVID-19 had a devastating impact on the economy. I must, however, put on record that but for the sound economic foundation built between 2017 to 2020, where on the average our economy grew annually by 7%, the impact of COVID-19 would have been even more devastating. For example, when the global food security situation was threatened, as many economies shut down and export of essential food items ceased, we in Ghana remained largely self-sufficient. We were able to feed ourselves thanks to the program for planting for food and jobs. There were no food shortages, let alone food riots. Some of the other interventions put in place to cushion Ghanaians from the pandemic included the 1.1 billion cedi health response package, which was used to procure supplies and equipment and institute a relief package for health workers. 1.6 billion cedis in support was made available to vulnerable households across the country, which went into food packages and hot meals and the provision of free water and electricity. 750 million cedis in soft loans and grants were also distributed to micro, small, and medium-sized businesses. Government found the money to recruit 24,285 more health professionals and spent some 1.9 billion cedis to ensure that our children and teaching staff at all levels returned to school safely and saved the year as they were able to sit for their BECE and the WACC with historic, spectacular results. The Bank of Ghana lowered the monetary policy rate by 150 base points to 14.5% and reduced the primary reserve requirement from 10% to 8% to provide more liquidity to banks to sustain critical sectors of the economy. The Ghana Revenue Authority extended the due dates for filing of taxes from 4 to 6 months after the end of the base year and waived taxes on selected third-tier pension withdrawals. All these measures notwithstanding, our first priority was the health and safety of our citizens. Indeed, a statement I made at the time that we know how to bring the economy back to life, but we do not know how to bring people back to life, went, in today's parlance, viral and became the subject of much global commentary. We pioneered life-saving innovations that WHO has since replicated elsewhere, with Ghana and Korea touted as the two best nations in dealing with the pandemic when it struck. Our relative success, coupled with the delivery of 27 presidential updates, now christened the Fellow Ghanaians series, is a testament to the tireless work undertaken by our researchers, scientists, advisors, public health managers, frontline health workers, hospital staff, contact tracers, and so many others who dedicated themselves to the fight to keep Ghanaians safe. They made nonsense of the prediction by some influential people in the West that the streets of Africa would be littered with dead bodies as our public health systems would be overwhelmed. The proactive decisions taken by government to fight the pandemic, as well as revitalizing and transforming the economy with the 100 billion cedi Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization of Enterprise Support, Ghana Cares, or Bantampa program, to create jobs and prosperity for Ghanaians over a 3-year period, have begun yielding results. The first phase of the Ghana Cares program, the phase of stabilization, came to an end in 2020. And the second phase, which started in 2021, aims at revitalizing and transforming the economy between 2021 and 2023, and is focused on supporting commercial farming and attracting educated youth into agriculture, building Ghana's light manufacturing sector, developing the engineering, machine tools, and ICT digital economy, developing Ghana's housing and construction industry, reviewing and optimizing the implementation of government flagships and key programs, and creating jobs for young people and expanding opportunities for the vulnerable in society, including physically challenged persons. I'm happy to report that this initiative is inspiring the desired dividends that we anticipated. As a result of government's policies, the economy grew at a provisional 5.2% in the first 3 quarters of 2021. This growth is expected to be sustained in the medium term. The overall real GDP for the medium term is projected to grow at an average rate of 5.6%, and we remain committed to returning to the fiscal deficit target threshold as enshrined in the Fiscal Responsibility Act, Act 982, from this year. We will continue along the path of promoting inclusive growth, encouraging investments, and improving the standard of living of our citizens. Government has taken further decisions that have provided the required impetus to stimulate the economy on several levels. Our investments in digitalization are helping to build efficient digital platforms for government businesses, deepen financial inclusion, and build a credible database of information to inform policies. All of these are being spurred on by the COVID-19 pandemic. These projects include national ID cards, digital property address systems, the Ghana.gov platform, the mobile money interoperability platform, the paperless port system, the digitalized land registry, the e-business registration, the integration of the Ghana card with the NHIS and the SNIT card, amongst others. Processes are ongoing to integrate all these platforms to establish a common source of information, data of which will be mined for insights to drive improvements in domestic revenue mobilization and help implement targeted social programs. Our long track record of democratic stability and ease of doing business places Ghana as an ideal destination for foreign direct investments, reinforcing her position as the trade and investment hub in the region. This is evidenced by the number of global companies such as Toyota, Volkswagen, Nissan, and Twitter that have set up operational facilities in Ghana. Google has set up its first African Artificial Intelligence Center in Ghana. Ghanaian businesses also have the opportunity to exploit the full benefits of the coming into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, especially as the Secretariat is sited in Accra. Please excuse me. Towards addressing the unemployment situation in the country, the 2022 budget is focusing on building an entrepreneurial workforce. We've had extensive consultations with all relevant stakeholders and agreed on the You Start initiative as part of the ways of operationalizing the Ghana Cares program to address the unemployment menace. To achieve this objective, government, in addition to its commitment to the free SHS policy, is putting greater and greater emphasis on STEM and TVET education to generate the skilled workforce we need for our industrial transformation. We've commenced the development of 20 STEM centers and 10 model STEM senior high schools across the country, which are at various stages of completion. Some of these schools will be operationalized during the course of this year. These institutions and centers will be fitted with state-of-the-art equipment and laboratories to facilitate teaching and learning in all areas of study, including artificial intelligence and robotics. 2 weeks ago, I cut the sword for the construction of the Accra STEM Academy, the first of its kind in our history, which will be devoted principally to the teaching and learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and which will be completed within 24 months. The You Start initiative is a key vehicle government intends to use to create 1 million jobs in the next 3 years. It is a comprehensive initiative and will provide an effective solution to the youth unemployment challenge this country has been confronted with over the years. It will support young entrepreneurs to gain access to capital, training, technical skills, and mentoring to enable them launch and operate their own businesses, as well as employ others. Young entrepreneurs under the initiative can apply for the following support through a dedicated YouStart online portal. A, skills training and development. B, entrepreneurial support and business advisory services. C, competitive credit and startup packs. And D, mentoring and access to markets, including portals to facilitate digital linkages between youth-led enterprises and other businesses and relevant government agencies. Successful applicants will be eligible for 1, soft loans of up to 50,000 cedis to help startups, for young graduates and school leavers, and small businesses to expand. 2, starter packs for equipment acquisition, up to 50,000 cedis for individuals and 100,000 cedis for associations and groups. And 3, a standardized loan package between 100,000 cedis to 400,000 cedis at concessional rates for SMEs from financial institutions. Government is committed to harnessing and harvesting the creativity of the youth into economic dividends. I appeal to them to take advantage of the many opportunities available to them and make the best for themselves and Mother Ghana. Before I conclude, I want to urge all Ghanaians to get vaccinated and help end the spread of the virus in our country. The science tells us that getting vaccinated is the most efficient way to defeat the virus and go back to our normal way of life, reopen fully our economy, and return our nation onto the path of progress and prosperity. And for the skeptics, they should take note of the data that says that 80% of those who are currently infected are those who have not been vaccinated. That is enough to tell us about the value of vaccination. Government has succeeded in securing considerable quantities of vaccines for the country, numbering nearly 26 million doses so far, with more on the way. Thus far, a total of 10,451,662 vaccine doses have been administered. 7,070,719 persons have received at least one jab, with 3,380,949 persons fully vaccinated. So I entreat all those who have not been vaccinated to do so. Our responsibility to one another requires that we be vaccinated. As I said earlier on in my address, the pandemic has illustrated vividly the need for self-reliance in all areas of social and economic life. We have strengthened immeasurably the infrastructure of our sanitation sector with the active cooperation of one of the leading Ghanaian companies, the Just One Group of companies. We have embarked on enhancing our health infrastructure by the implementation of Agenda 111, which seeks to build district hospitals in all those districts without hospitals in order to improve access to health care for all Ghanaians. Government has encouraged and facilitated the domestic manufacture of personal protective equipment at the height of their global shortages, which has enabled Ghanaian companies today to be exporting such products within the ECOWAS community. It is key that we also break the cycle of dependence on foreigners in the fields of science and medicine as well. We should never again be in the situations of beggars that we were at the height of the pandemic, when we could not access vaccines, which were being hoarded by the rich, developed nations of the world. Charity, they quite rightly say, begins at home. It is not beyond our scientists and pharmaceutical companies, whose knowledge and expertise cannot be questioned, to produce an indigenous or Ghanaian vaccine to combat the virus. I'm happy to announce that Ghana is on her way to establishing domestic manufacturing plants for the fill, finish, and packaging of COVID-19 vaccines. I will on 16 February, together with His Excellency Monsieur Macky Sall, President of the Republic of Senegal, and His Excellency Mr. Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, inspect in Marburg, Germany, the production facilities that we need to employ to this end. We're going to build a Pan-African project with these two sister African states, where initially the fill and finish plant will be located in Ghana. BioNTech of Germany, the now renowned health technology company which works with Pfizer, has agreed to be our partner and will contribute also to the construction of a modular production facility for other vaccines as well, such as those for malaria and tuberculosis in Ghana. Government is determined to work with all stakeholders to see us through this crisis and all the challenges it has brought in its wake. We will continue to work proactively to protect the citizenry from the ravages of the pandemic. I appeal to all Ghanaians to stand shoulder to shoulder with my government as we work to return our nation onto the path of progress and prosperity within the confines of our open democratic institutions, which respect human rights, the rule of law, and the principle of democratic accountability. I am a firm, passionate believer in our national potential. I have no doubt that we have it in us to rise up and revive our fortunes. There are brighter days ahead for Mother Ghana. Indeed, this too shall pass, for the battle is still the Lord's. I wish you a happy new year, fruitful deliberations, and look forward to reading the report of your deliberations. Accordingly, Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, I declare the 73rd Annual New Year School and Conference duly open. May God bless us all in our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.